It was a great feeling. I think I would say Idaho State was extremely hungry, and they played extremely hard. I thought their defensive line played an outstanding game. They played harder, I thought, than we saw on video. And sometimes you never know till you get to game day. You can judge some things off videotape, but the real deal happens obviously on Saturdays. But you know, our offense did a nice job, I think, in the second half of getting first downs in the third quarter, and turnovers helped, of course, and being able to hold the ball throughout that fourth quarter was something we hadn't done for quite a while. So that was a very good accomplishment. I think the defense played extremely hard, physical, tackled well, opportunistic, you know, from the first play on when Tully got the interception throughout the entire game. 4 or 5 defensive linemen played excellent football, you know, causing the quarterback to really wonder why he wanted to be in that game. Hitting him 15 times, that's incredible. Linebackers were good, and our nickel and dime package were really good with Murray and Donnie coming in and primarily playing the inside slots and doing a great job, and even blitzing a few times. Donnie sacked the quarterback once. It was a great play. So defense was awesome. They did a great job, and probably our best performance on special teams. You know, we tackled, you know, inside the 20 numerous times, and really kept Tavoy more out of the newspaper, I guess you could say. No question, they lead the nation. Their tailback also is an individual leader statistically in the nation in rushing. Their quarterback is like a tremendous tailback that can also throw. Outstanding athlete, and he gets rid of the ball extremely fast. Everybody thinks he's just a runner, but he kind of has a quick flick of the wrist and the ball's out of there. So he's a very intelligent player. He's really too smart to get sacked, you know, if you will. He throws it away, or he gets the ball, you know, out of his hands into his receiver's hands very quickly. So going to be a major challenge with those two players. There is 2 of the best in the league. And when you watch tape, it's easy to see. They move around very, very well. Their offensive line is, I would use the word nasty. They're ferocious, so to speak. They don't give up. They'll hit you from every side of your body. So you know, we have to be careful about some of those things and not get carried away. We have to keep our composure. And we're looking forward to that. They have weapons. In our Big Sky meetings, it said they had 21 returners, 20 starters returning. I've never heard of a team that had 21 starters returning, other than an NFL team maybe where you don't trade anybody. So that's an unbelievable accomplishment or situation. Then you add 6 or 7 highly talented transfers in that have beaten out those starters, and that causes us to, you know, some concern just athletically and you know, as far as their talent level. I think he's done a nice job of getting those transfers, and I think that's kind of the nature of the institution. It's on I-5, and you have you know, the corridor from LA to Seattle, and a lot of guys want to come home if it's not going good in Seattle or Eugene or Berkeley or LA, or they just got a transfer from Nevada that I believe is going to start against us. He called here. We couldn't get him in school this late, obviously. So there's some advantages that Portland State has, geographical, probably compared to us and Montana State. You know, I think they do a good job of taking advantage of that situation. And they are a quarter school, so you can get transfers in extremely late. He did get an ankle injury a couple weeks back, and that kind of slowed his progress. And you know, we are demanding in practice, and we have to show that we can compete in practice before we're going to start a player or put him in the game. And you know, he kind of had to go through those hurdles, and I think he's finally healthy where he's ready to go, and I think that displayed somewhat in the second half. you know, he did have the fumble, so he was in our doghouse there for a couple series, and you know, obviously that's the last thing you want to have is a turnover, and we were marching the football, and we had 3 turnovers in the red zone, which was extremely disappointing, and ill-advised throws on the 2 interceptions. Those, you know, ideally should not have happened in the fumble. So, you know, we'd all feel a little bit better if those 3 things didn't happen. And again, it wasn't due to anything on the O-line or receiver-wise. It was just some decisions that the quarterbacks should not have made to throw it, or Nate should have thrown his a little harder. But I think Jordan Canada's getting to the point where I just hope and pray he's going to have a breakout game. And you know what? I'd love it to be Saturday. He's a little bit banged up, but you know, I don't think it's anything by, you know, Wednesday, Thursday. He's going to hopefully be close to 100%. And you know, he's not a real big human being, so he's going to have some of those things, I think, every week, and we just have to be prepared early in practice, you know, how we utilize him and how we utilize our other 2 quarterbacks to really have an efficient and effective practice, because there's 10 other guys playing out there. So we have to be careful that way, and we have to be intelligent what we do. Well, out on the perimeters, they'll play man coverage with their corners probably 90% of the game, 85 to 90%. And that's what they want to do. They want to take your wide receivers out with those 2 players. So there's not really a whole bunch of run support by those corners. They will bring the safeties down close to the box. So it'll at sometimes be a 9-man box, you know, to take your entire run game away. They've done an outstanding job doing that. Like I said, they're going to start a new safety against us Saturday from Nevada Reno. I've never seen him play. I don't know much about him. So, you know, that plus the fact that they have a young, outstanding defensive lineman. He was a sophomore. And then Miles Wade, who transferred in from Texas Tech, having his degree. He now has a year to play for Portland State. So those are 2 extremely talented veteran players. And Miles Wade's a big human being. And, you know, we have to be prepared for those guys up front. But then they have a linebacker system a little bit like Idaho State, where Idaho State let A.J. Storms kind of flow, and the D-line moved around, and he made all the tackles, or a majority of them. Portland State has a similar situation there, and you can see their middle linebacker really spying for the tailback or the quarterback on just about every play, and he has a lot of tackles because of their system. I just believe that's what they're doing. Yeah, they're going to put their former corner back to corner and bring in the new safety. So they're going to take one of the corners out, and obviously they'll have a very veteran group back in the secondary as well as on the D-line. Well, you know, the Bobcats, they ran a couple double break routes. You know, really forces the corner to make a decision, and then they bursted out of that and had some separation. They did a nice job of doing that. They did a nice job of allowing the quarterback to run the football, and that's a lot of times the guy that doesn't have a defensive man, you know, appointed to him particularly. So Montana State did a nice job of doing that, and they ran a couple of those routes where you kind of rub each other off, and in the man coverage that they did a nice job of that and freed up some guys in the end zone, and a nice job with play action. So those combinations, you know, were pretty impressive by Montana State. Well, you know, it's interesting because Montana State staff did visit Nevada Reno, where Coach Burton's from, because they have some elements of the pistol in Bozeman now. And so as you study it, you know, you like to study it with your offense and defensive staff, because obviously you're going to have to defend it as well. So, you know, Montana State did a pretty good job, you know, containing Portland State, and you know, Portland State did score quite a few points, but you know, they came up 2 points short.
Obviously, their offense ran through their QB, and he's taken a lot of shots this year for sure. And that guy is tough. He hangs in there. He gets up after some ferocious hits. But we knew that we had to still get there and try to make him. And we knew we weren't going to get him to quit. We had to make sure he was speeding up his release and not wanting to hang in there as long as he could. So that was the goal, and we played really fast up front. I think it was good to see. We just pinned our ears back and got after it. And as a whole, I mean, we had linebackers getting to the QB. Like you said, Donnie got to the QB. So we were coming from everywhere, and then that just affected them the rest of the game, I think. You go from the top passing offense in the FCS to the top running. It's definitely a change in mentality per se, but at least for up front, we still want to dominate the line of scrimmage. It doesn't matter if their team's passing or if they're running. We have to own the line of scrimmage in their backfield and not let them push us. You look at the Sac State game, we lost it up front. It's hard for the guys behind you to make plays when you're in their lap. So that's the main difference for D-line is we got to focus on staying low and own the line of scrimmage in the run game. We're always prepared every week, to be honest. It's not like we weren't prepared earlier in the season or anything. I think it's, week 6 or 7 or whatever. I mean, you grow as a team from week to week, and I think that we're maturing as a team, and we're starting to put it together, and we're starting to learn what it takes to be a great football team, and we're just trying to build on that every week, both sides of the ball, special teams included. You see they had a great week too, so I think we're just trying to put it together as a team as a whole on all 3 fronts. You watch him on film, he's fast. You can see speed on film sometimes, and you just go, that guy is fast, and he's really good at not taking big hits either. He's not a huge guy, but he's really smart about not taking huge hits that allows him to just stay in the game and keep running and running. And I think we just got to keep him bottled up. He's a guy that, with that speed, if he gets out in the open, it's a problem. So you have to keep him bottled up, first few yards. That way he can't get anywhere. I mean, they only ran the ball twice, and I mean, we did our job in those 2 plays. But that was zone read, and it's kind of the same concept, but this is pistol. It's going to hit you hard. They're coming at you up front as fast as they can with the intent to punch you in the mouth and run the ball. So, I mean, it's good. It was nice, but at the same time, they weren't trying to run the ball unless they were trying to throw the ball, and these guys are going to try to run the ball all game. So it's a totally different, and we got to do it this weekend. So.
I think, like Coach Flu said, they definitely came out fired up and ready to play. And, I mean, we were ready for that, but I don't think, a lot of us are ready for how hard they were going to come out. And, they threw some things at us that we haven't seen this year, they're defensively, and, I think that kind of flustered us a little bit. It obviously took until the second half to kind of get it settled down, and even then they still kind of, it was few plays would hit, a few plays would get stopped, kind of, just kept going back and forth. And so, I mean, they definitely brung it all game. And I think the biggest thing was just, how hard they played and, those wrinkles they threw at us that we weren't necessarily used to and hadn't seen at all really this year. So I think that, definitely played an advantage for them. I know that they have a new transfer D lineman that came in, and I mean, they're very big up front. They're a solid group of guys, and they're going to play hard. And just like every week, we're going to get their best game. So we got to be ready for it. And like you said last year, it was a pretty tight game, and I think it's definitely going to come down to which O-line dominates more, whether it's ours or theirs. I think that's going to be a big role in this game. No, I don't think a lot of us think any different of any of those guys. We all have confidence in those guys that they're going to get their job done. Just as much as they need to have confidence in us that we're all going to get our job done. So I think it's a good thing for our program to display that we can play 3 different quarterbacks and still be able to win ball games. And I think that's a really good thing, not just for them, but as an O-line, just to have that confidence in all 3 guys that they're going to get the job done.